When I first started this channel, a few people asked me in the comments what my IQ is, and they haven't asked me that for a while, and maybe it's because I haven't made any videos with engineer in the title or in the subject. For a while I did have this plan that I was going to take an official IQ test, with a doctor and everything, that you can get them done for a small fee, and I was going to make a video about my results. I kind of just forgot about that for a while, and I started thinking about it again recently, and I decided that I'm not going to have my IQ tested. And it's because I can't see any good outcome coming from it, except that there's a possibility that my IQ might be high enough to become a Mensan and go to the little Mensa meetups, but I really don't know if that would be the case, or if that would even be a desirable outcome. I would be disappointed if my IQ were less than, say, 120. To be honest, I'm being brutally honest here, and I know it sounds a bit, I don't want to get too self-congratulatory or arrogant about my intelligence, but if I'm being honest with myself, I'd be embarrassed if my IQ was less than 120. When I just quickly Googled what's the average intelligence of an engineer, I found an answer on Quora that says the average IQ of the general population is 100. There was a huge study done not too long ago regarding what the IQ average by field was, and this is what they found for engineers. Civil engineering 122, industrial engineering 122, mechanical engineer 125.5, electrical engineer 126, and chemical engineer 127.5. So you can see that if my IQ was less than 120, I would be less intelligent than over half of the rest of my field. All of my colleagues over half of the people who I'm employed with would have a higher intelligence than me, and that would make me just feel a little bit inadequate, you could say. I also thought it was funny, the next paragraph says, "It should be mentioned that if you have an IQ of 115 or higher, then you are more intelligent than 83% of the population. Engineers are typically very intelligent people. However, it should be noted that although engineers score extremely well in IQ, their social intelligence is below the average of many other fields. This is why engineers at my school are required to take classes teaching them general social skills and how to interact with people." This guy, I can't see any citations here about where he actually got this information from, but whatever. It's got 40 upvotes, so I suppose in the internet age, that's evidence by itself. People agree with him, so sure. So if I found out that my IQ was below the average for my profession, I'd be embarrassed by that. And that's not to say that it's embarrassing to have an IQ of less than 120, but I would be disappointed. On the other hand, if I found out that my IQ was more than 120, then I would probably feel smug about that. I don't think that I am emotionally mature enough to not, in my head, hold that over everyone that I meet and that I know. Of course, not everyone I meet would have a lower IQ than me, but the fact that I would have a higher IQ than something like 90% of the population is something that I don't think I'd be able to keep out of my mind. So if that is the case, I'd rather not know. And if it isn't the case, I'd also rather not know. When I was 12 years old, we had these tests at school called SATs, SATs. They're not the same as SATs in America, they're different. And one of the products of these tests is that you can find out your IQ from that. And at that stage, when I was 12, I found out that my IQ was measured to be 102. At that stage in my life, I was very slow at reading for some reason. I never found out why, and I grew out of it. Actually, what helped me grow out of it was to start reading aloud more when I would just read to myself. For anyone who has trouble reading, something I tried is just to read aloud instead of reading in my head, and that trained me to get better at reading in my head. Anyway, I could never finish any of the tests that I ever did, so I would be really hurrying, trying to read through all of the questions and answer them. And the answers were easy, it was just that actually reading the questions was difficult for me. So I could never get to the end of any test that I did. And I think that probably had a big effect on the score that I got. But if I took an IQ test now, getting to the end of the test wouldn't really be a problem for me. I find it kind of interesting to think about how people like to know their IQ or want to get their IQ tested. And it's hard for me to think of any reason why people do that except just to feel smug about it because they have a high IQ. I don't think anyone who suspects their IQ is lower than average would delight in taking an IQ test. Although I don't really think anyone does believe their IQ is lower than average. As evidenced by a lot of engineers that I've met, having a high IQ doesn't make you any better at having a chat or, being fun to know as a person. It doesn't make you any better at having a dinner table conversation. It doesn't guarantee that you'll have a good marriage or a happy life. But it's just something that people want to find out about themselves, and they want to know the IQ of other people. I would certainly be interested to find out the IQ of all of the people I follow on YouTube. Pretty much the only person whose IQ I'm not interested in finding out is my own. Thank you very much for watching. Leave your comments as always, and I'll see you again soon, probably for a longer video.